Streaming was supposed to be the escape from cable. For decades, cable television had the same basic problem. It was expensive, confusing, and full of channels most people never watched. Customers paid for bundles they did not choose, dealt with hidden fees, used clunky set-top boxes, and sat through commercials even though they were already paying every month. Then Netflix arrived with a much cleaner offer. For one low monthly price, viewers could open one app, watch what they wanted, and cancel whenever they wanted. There were no contracts, no installation appointments, no cable boxes, and no channel packages designed by someone else. Compared with cable, streaming felt simple, modern, and fair. For a while, it really was better. A household could cancel an expensive TV package, subscribe to Netflix, maybe add Hulu or Amazon Prime Video, and still save money. The experience felt easier because much of the content people wanted was available in only a few places. Netflix had original shows, but it also had movies, classic series, network television, documentaries, comedy specials, and children's programming licensed from major studios. That was the golden age of streaming for consumers. And the libraries were large, the prices were low, and the platforms still felt like they were fighting for the customer. Cable looked like an old system being replaced by something smarter. But the version of streaming people fell in love with was not the final version. It was the growth phase. The early economics worked because the studios had not yet decided to compete directly. Disney, Warner, NBC Universal, Paramount, and other media companies were still licensing content to Netflix because streaming seemed like an additional revenue stream, not an existential threat. Netflix paid for the rights, the studios collected checks, and viewers enjoyed the convenience of having many shows in one place. That arrangement could not last forever. Once Netflix became the default entertainment app for millions of households, the studios realized they had helped build someone else's customer relationship. Netflix was not just distributing content. It was owning the viewer, collecting the data, building the habit, and becoming the brand people associated with modern television. For traditional media companies, that was dangerous. If they kept licensing their best content to Netflix, they risked becoming suppliers, while Netflix became the platform. So they pulled their libraries back and launched their own apps. Disney launched Disney Plus. Warner built HBO Max, which later became Max. NBC Universal launched Peacock. Paramount pushed Paramount Plus. Apple entered with Apple TV Plus. Hulu became part of Disney's broader streaming strategy. Every company wanted its own subscribers, its own app, its own data, and its own recurring revenue. This was the beginning of the streaming wars. At first, the explosion of new services looked like more choice. In reality, it made the experience more fragmented. The content that once lived together started spreading across separate platforms. Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars became Disney Plus assets. Friends moved to Warner's platform. The Office became a reason to subscribe to Peacock. Different sports, movies, and originals were locked behind different monthly payments. Streaming stopped being one convenient library and became a collection of separate gates. That is where the comparison with cable becomes uncomfortable. Cable forced people to buy large bundles just to access a few channels they actually wanted. Modern streaming often forces people to subscribe to full platforms just to access a few shows they actually care about. The interface changed, but the frustration started to feel familiar. The next problem was price. The first streaming prices were never designed to represent the long-term cost of the industry. They were designed to win customers. Platforms spent billions of dollars on content, technology, global expansion, marketing, and original programming because investors rewarded subscriber growth. For years, the priority was not immediate profit. It was scale. That strategy made sense during the early streaming wars. A company that could build a large enough subscriber base might eventually control the future of entertainment. Disney was willing to lose money to build Disney Plus. Warner spent heavily to defend HBO's position. Netflix poured billions into originals because it needed to replace the licensed content that studios were taking back. Apple could fund premium shows because it had one of the strongest balance sheets in the world, but eventually, the market stopped rewarding growth at any cost. Subscriber growth slowed, competition intensified, and investors began asking a different question. They no longer wanted to hear only about how many people had signed up. They wanted to know when streaming would make real money. That shift changed the customer experience. Platforms raised prices. Ad-free tiers became more expensive. Cheaper plans began including commercials. Some companies removed content to reduce licensing and residual costs. Others merged platforms, reduced production spending, or pushed users toward bundles. The industry moved from the land grab phase to the profit phase, and viewers started to feel the difference. This is why streaming prices now seem to rise constantly. The companies are no longer pricing their services only to attract subscribers. They are pricing them to increase revenue per user. The return of ads shows the change even more clearly. One of the original advantages of streaming was the absence of commercials. Cable television forced people to pay and still watch ads. Netflix felt different because it made entertainment feel uninterrupted. Paying for a subscription meant avoiding the advertising model that had defined old television. That promise has weakened. Netflix has an ad-supported tier. Disney Plus has an ad-supported tier. Max has one. Peacock and Paramount Plus rely heavily on ads. Amazon Prime Video made ads part of the default viewing experience unless customers paid extra to remove them. This is not an accident. Advertising gives streaming platforms a second revenue stream. A company can collect subscription fees from viewers and ad revenue from brands at the same time. It can also use lower-priced ad tiers to attract cost-sensitive customers while pushing people who hate ads into more expensive plans. For the platforms, this is rational. For viewers, it feels like the old television model returning through the back door. Password sharing followed a similar pattern. In the early years, account sharing helped streaming spread. A shared Netflix password made the service feel universal. Families, students, friends, roommates, and long-distance partners all watched under accounts that were not always limited to one household. Netflix tolerated this because the company was still building habit and cultural dominance. Later, the same behavior became a revenue opportunity. When Netflix estimated that more than 100 million households were using shared accounts, it became impossible for the company to ignore. The platform introduced household rules and extra member fees, turning a behavior it once tolerated into something customers had to pay for. Financially, the move worked. Netflix gained paying subscribers, and other platforms watched closely. From the consumer perspective, however, the emotional contract changed. Streaming used to feel flexible and easy. Now it came with household definitions, account checks, and extra charges for people who used to watch without friction. The industry was becoming more disciplined, but also less generous. Then came the bundle. Streaming was supposed to free people from bundles, yet the bundle is returning because it solves a major business problem. Standalone streaming services are easy to cancel. A customer can subscribe for one show, binge it in a weekend, and leave. That makes revenue unpredictable and forces platforms to constantly fight churn. Bundles make customers stickier. Disney can combine Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Other companies can partner with telecom providers, credit cards, or rival platforms. Sports packages can be attached to broader entertainment subscriptions. A bundle makes the monthly bill feel more valuable, even if it also makes the customer pay for more content than they plan to watch. This is the same logic that made cable so profitable. The bundle spreads costs across many viewers, reduces cancellation, and makes it harder for customers to remove only the parts they do not use. The irony is obvious. Streaming did not eliminate the bundle, it reinvented it with app icons. Sports make this even more complicated. Live sports remain one of the strongest reasons people keep cable. Unlike a drama series, a live game cannot be watched whenever without losing much of its value. Fans want reliability, live access, and a clear answer to a simple question. Where is the game? Streaming has made that question harder. Sports rights are split across leagues, networks, platforms, and regional restrictions. A viewer may need cable for one package, Prime Video for another, Peacock for a specific game, ESPN Plus for certain events, and another app for international sports. For dedicated sports fans, the cost of streaming can rise quickly. Once live TV bundles and sports add-ons are included, the old savings from cord cutting can shrink or disappear. This is one reason some former cord cutters are returning to traditional TV packages. They may not love cable, but they understand it. One bill, one guide, and easier access to live sports can feel more convenient than chasing content across several apps. That does not mean streaming is always more expensive than cable. A disciplined viewer can still save money by rotating subscriptions, accepting ads, avoiding live sports, and keeping only one or two services active at a time. Streaming still offers flexibility that cable rarely matched. The problem is that most households are not perfectly disciplined. People forget to cancel, they keep subscriptions for convenience, they add one service for a new season, another for a movie, another for sports, and another because it is bundled with something else. Over time, the monthly cost starts to resemble the cable bill streaming was supposed to replace. Even when the total price remains lower, the experience often feels worse because it is more fragmented. Instead of one channel guide, viewers navigate multiple apps. Each app has its own interface, search system, billing page, recommendations, subscription tier, and content rules. Shows move between platforms, series are removed, originals are canceled early, ad-free plans get more expensive, password rules change. Cable was frustrating because it was bloated, streaming is frustrating because it is scattered. This is the real reason people say streaming became worse than cable. It is not only about the monthly bill, it is about the loss of simplicity. The early version of streaming made entertainment feel effortless. The modern version asks viewers to manage a portfolio of subscriptions. It rewards people who track price changes, rotate services, watch ads, use bundles strategically, and cancel aggressively. That may be efficient, but it is not simple. The deeper business lesson is that disruption often starts with a better deal for consumers. Netflix beat cable by